Some people wear a mask because they want to deceive others, but many people wear one for a very different reason. They're afraid of what might happen if they don't. And once someone learns that acceptance depends on performing a role, the mask can become very hard to take off. People often accept masks because of fear and social survival. Reasons could include fear of rejection. If they actually know the real me, they might run away. They might not like the person that I actually am. So I have to keep performing this role so that they will continue to like me and continue to be my friend, because I wouldn't want to be without a friend. Fear of ridicule, maybe fear of being bullied or harassed or mistreated in some way. That's another possible reason. And additionally, I know we talked yesterday about the idea of there being certain roles in certain friendships. And so there is also the possibility that there is fear of losing status, losing all the friends that you've maintained. Maybe you've had friends since kindergarten, right? And these people are all of a sudden not going to be your friends anymore. Or you have work friends that you've had lunch with for years. And if you're not who they expect you to be, then they might not see you as popular and might not want to be friends with you anymore. I'm not saying that that's a good strategy. I'm not saying that real friends do that to other people, but there are definitely people that do that, who are kind of the frenemies in disguise, right? Waiting for that person to potentially lose their status so they can jump up and kind of piggyback off their status. Pressure from family expectations. Maybe someone's family has a certain last name that is important to them, and they want their child to potentially be like a cheerleader, or they want them to be class president, or they want them to be in the drama club, or some prestigious award that they want them to win. So they have to have a certain personality and fit in, and a mold that they have to adhere to. And so if they're not going to have that particular personality or play that particular role, it could potentially cause a backlash in their family to them, asking them, why aren't you doing what you've been taught to do? Why are you being different? Like, why aren't you still with your friends? Why aren't you playing the role that you've been assigned? And also wanting approval from a group. You think about, especially in school, how things can be difficult with bullying and with people just seeking to find out who they are, what they want in life. And so it can be a lot of pressure and a lot of, sadness, and can potentially result in mental health issues such as anxiety or depression, maybe even eating disorders, because they want to fit into a certain mold that they feel like will make them the most popular or most socially acceptable. When people grow up learning that acceptance is conditional, they often learn to perform the version of themselves that will be rewarded, because nobody wants to be the person who's left out. Nobody wants to be the person that's ostracized or mistreated or bullied or told that they're ugly or some other mean put down that you can think of, or that they're stupid or whatever it may be. None of us want that. And so we try to do what we can to avoid that. On the other hand, I know we've talked about people who seek authenticity. There are people, like a lot of us, who seek authenticity because guess what? Performing would be exhausting every single day. And I know I said this to you yesterday, I believe. There is no way I could do a podcast as often as I do and continue and be a person who had to perform. What you see is what you get. That way, there's no sense of having to try to remember, oh, well, who was I yesterday? Guess what? I'm the same person today as I was yesterday, as the day before, and on and on and on and on. I don't fake, I don't pretend, and I know a lot of you are very similar. Cheers to authenticity, right? And I think that a lot of you are bothered by the fake niceness mask, and a lot of you have responded to that as well. So masks can create social stability, but cause you to be disconnected from yourself. And oftentimes, maybe that's another reason for a mask, because you don't really know who you are. And a lot of people may struggle with that. I know that I'm the type of person who believes a lot in self-improvement and leveling up and showing my kids what's possible for them to follow their dreams. I'm not trying to mold my children. My children will mold themselves. They will become who they're supposed to be, who they want to be. They're not extensions of me. They're their own separate people, as we all know, right? Anyone that has children, you know that. They're going to be their separate people, and that's going to be okay. But it's really difficult when you're used to wearing masks to actually know, so do I actually like this food, or am I doing it because my friends like it? You know, do I actually enjoy this activity, or am I doing it because I think that it will get me social status? Am I doing this because of peer pressure, because I want to fit in and I want people to like me and I don't want to feel like an outsider? Or am I doing it because I want to do it? And I think a lot of people have never thought to ask that question. I've been told that I need to do this, but is it actually something that I enjoy? Is it something that I want to invest in? Or is it something that I absolutely hate? I can't imagine having parents who are driving their kids towards certain activities, not just because they're good at it, but because they feel that it holds a special status. And ultimately, as you know, we've kind of hinted at, the problem with living behind a mask is that you eventually start losing track of who you really are, what your likes are, what your dislikes are, what your favorite things are, what your favorite songs are. You start just being a person who nods and says yes to whatever's asked of you, because maybe you're not sure. Maybe you want to fit in. Maybe you don't want to offend anyone. Maybe you don't want conflict. But ultimately, that's really not living a life. That's not living your life joyously. That's not living your life with intention, with purpose about what you want. In closing, authenticity isn't always rewarded socially. And for those of us who've followed the authenticity path, we know, because a lot of people feel like it's an affront to them, that you are insulting them because you're living your life and they are following roles that they think that they should follow. But the alternative, performing someone else's identity, is much, much heavier over time. And guess what? Was it Oscar Wilde who said, "Be yourself. Everyone else is already taken"? Thank you for tuning in to Recovering Perfectionist Mama, Grace in Progress. I appreciate it, and I appreciate you tuning in, and thank you so much for your support, and I hope that you got some insight from this video and that you'll come back and see us again soon. Have a great day. Bye-bye.